Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for all being here, participating in this roundtable discussion we have today. I'm happy to introduce this great panel. Can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Start?
Yes?
Hello, nice to meet you all and thank you for inviting me. So I'm Tiffaine de Benoit, Industrial Director for Cartier Parfum. So at Cartier Parfum, we have decided to revamp and reconceive all our creations. And the objective was really to reduce the carbon footprint. And in terms of organization, what is key is that it was really a great teamwork, including as well Mathilde Laurent, our in-house perfumer, Adeline Guillois, who is our studio director, of course, marketing team, finance team, operations, our dear partners, and some of them are in the room, and of course, my dedicated team. So it was a great teamwork, and we'll be happy to share that with you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, great to be here. Jeremy Lindley. I'm Diageo's Global Design Director. Diageo is the world-leading premium spirits business. I guess you know who we are, so I won't list the brands, but it's over 150 of the world's best spirits brands. My role is as Diageo's Global Design Director, so my team are very heavily involved in our existing products, where I'll talk a little bit about that this afternoon, where we're going through a huge transformation for sustainability, very much involved in innovation, so new product development as well, and then also in some of the sort of further out research and development projects. There's a couple of them that you might have seen in the press recently. I'll talk about the world's lightest spirits bottle, and I'll just quickly touch on some of the work we've been doing with paper bottles, which you might also have seen starting to go on test just this last week.
Hello, my name is Stéphane. I am the CEO of Qualiform. Qualiform is a company who manufactures bottles for the cosmetic industry, plastic bottles. And the topic of today, the CO2 reduction, is a major part of our CSR strategy. And I would be very happy to share a part of this CSR strategy with you today.
Hello, I'm Nadine Serfati from Infinity Global. Infinity Global is focused on luxury packaging since the development to the production until the delivery to stores. So this is why, as Tiffaine, we involve all the team in order to reduce the carbon emission when we select the material, when we choose the production location, when we deliver. So that's it.
Thank you very much. So with this panel, we can smell good, feel good, and be right packed. So, well, first let me introduce myself. My name is Charles van Rij. I'm global lead packaging and paper at the Cradle to Cradle Institute. What do? We certify products on safety, circularity, and if they are produced in a responsible way. We are third-party verification organizations. We are independent and globally operating. And what's really important that our standard is science-based. I will come back on that later. And our standard is based on the cradle-to-cradle design philosophy. And what does cradle-to-cradle design philosophy mean? Is becoming from less bad to more good. What you see is less bad is reduce, reuse, recycle. So we all improve our impact on sustainability, on nature, and creating less waste. And by cradle-to-cradle design philosophy, you will rethink about the way we make things or how we use our materials by looking at nature. In nature, waste equals food, and there is actually in nature there's no waste. So that's the way how we look at it. So that's the first step in the cradle-to-cradle design philosophy is looking at nature in the way we make things. Secondly is use renewable energy, so wind, solar energy, or water energy to reduce your impact on carbon impact. And the third one is celebrating diversity. If you source material try to find it, like in nature, in your own surrounding, what is available, and try not to get source material from the other side of the world, which has a big impact on your carbon footprint. And in the cradle-to-cradle design philosophy, we indicate two circles. It is the material circle and the biological circle. The biological circle is an endless circle where you use biological materials which come back in nature and regenerated. Material circle is where you have used materials when you design the products, which you can take the components of and you can reuse in an effective way. What is our certification? Our certification is focusing on the product and the product circularity, and also on the healthy. Is it safe materials? Using safe materials, because if you don't use safe materials in the beginning, you also affect your recyclability. And if we measure circularity, we measure circularity on design, the way it's designed. Then we look at the process, till which level is there a process in place, and that creates that the material comes back in the loop. So what you see often is that a product is 100% recyclable, but it's not recycled. So that's what we measure. And also the level of renewable materials which you use. What is also important is that our certification is future-proofed and aligned with the required legislations. Now, especially when you see in packaging, we have the packaging and packaging waste legislation coming up. There's a lot of things coming towards us, and we comply with those legislations. Another one is also the law against greenwashing, because many statements when you make, they have to be valid, and especially in the near future, they will be penalized if you make a certain statement. Okay. Then I would like to ask Cartier to, well, actually the both brand Diageo and Cartier, about how is your organization adapting the packaging to meet sustainable demands while maintaining their premium aesthetics? And what challenges arise in balancing them both? So it's the balance right, be more sustainable and keep the high level quality you're offering. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So at Cartier Parfum, we contribute to the Maison's efforts to reduce our carbon footprint. So we have decided to implement eco-conception guidelines for all our novelties, but as well to proceed to a full re-engineering of all our bestsellers. So we started this journey with Rivière that we have launched in 2021, and which was the first of our creations to be refillable with a light glass weight and of course with PCR integration. And then we initiated our revamping program with the launch of the new Pasha in January 23, the new Panthère in November 23, and the new Déclaration in September this year. As you can see, it is really an ambitious program because, of course, you know that there are many olfaction sizes and so on. So at the end, it comprises of 54 references that we have launched in only 18 months. So a big challenge for all the team. But to make this happen, we needed to work on different streams, and each of them has raised different challenges. And that's what I'm going to try to explain and share with you today. For example, the refillability. It's true that for the moment, refills it's still slow within the industry, but despite the investment needed, it's really something that we do believe in and that we are going to pursue, as it is a real way to reduce the carbon footprint. Sourcing as well, and we are talking about local sourcing. This is something really important for the Maison. We only produce, we only choose partners that are close to our manufacturers. So meaning that for our sales product as well as for our samples and gifts, we only produce locally. and of course with certified and engaged partners. And we are very proud of this long-term relationship that we built together with them. Another challenge is the glass weight reduction. So especially when you are talking about refillable products, you want them to last longer. And at the end, sometimes the quality is also linked to the volume and the perceived value. So when the challenge, when you want to reduce the glass weight, is really to maintain the perception of quality and generosity. So what we have done for the Panthère is that we have increased the volume and switched to 100 ml instead of 75 ml, so that we have maintained a beautiful bottle and as well improved the generosity for our clients. In terms of another example of in terms of plastic reduction, so we have implemented a plastic reduction plan, leveraging the use of aluminium as far as we can. So, for example, the cap of the Pasha bottle is now composed of 80% of aluminium, which means that it is recyclable. And one of the challenges with aluminium is the weight. Of course, aluminium is quite light, so and we wanted to add a weight within the cap. So we have taken the challenge, the technical challenge, to insert an aluminium weight within the cap instead of a steel one to maintain the recyclability. And in terms of plastic, we have also worked on our cellophane, which is now thinner and recyclable. In terms of integration of PCR, so for all our 3 revamped, we have integrated more or less 15% of PCR into the glass. But in a continuous improvement approach, we are working on integrating PCR in other kind of materials. So for example, on Déclaration, we have integrated 100% of recycled paper in the range. And we are working on a new improvement as well. In terms of recyclability, so it has also driven all our choices. So now all the components and the finished product are fully recyclable. And last but not least, one thing that was really important for us and for a maison like Cartier is the quality. So we have taken the opportunity of those revamp to improve the quality of our creations, considering as well that scraps and destructions should be limited to the strictest if we want to reduce our footprints. And as well, in terms of supply and production, we have switched to a more dynamic way of production to be closer to our clients' needs and minimize destructions. So at the end, it works, because when you see the figures with all these elements combined, we have conducted LCA, and that shows that when we use the refill, we decrease by more than 30% our carbon footprint for Déclaration, more than 50% for Pasha, and more than 60% for Panthère. So that was it for the inside for Cartier. So I hope that you will see our product with different eyes now, and that will be as well seduced by our global and sincere approach, and let's say buy them for Christmas.
Thank you very much. Now I look at your bottles from a different perspective now next time.
For sure.
And, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeremy, how was it? How was you as a designer working on this? Because it's really a challenge. Everything going towards.
No, it's very central to everything that my team is doing. I'll just say a few words about Diageo's overall approach to reducing carbon, and then there's, as I mentioned, the specific project that's just very recently launched that it'd be good to discuss. So Diageo is committed to be net zero carbon in our own operations by 2030. We're well on our way towards that. We've got 3 of our distilleries are now carbon neutral. But probably more importantly, if you look at the total impact of Diageo existing, only about 10% of the carbon is produced in our direct operations. 90% is in scope 3. So that's all of the things that we buy in, and then the impact of our products, transportation, retail, and usage after they leave our factories. So for a scope 3, we've committed to a 50% reduction, and that's based on a 2020 baseline. So if you extrapolate Diageo's growth, that's about a 70% reduction in real terms. So a lot of areas that we're working on, just focusing specifically on some of the packaging ones. We have been one of the core people in a consortium funding the UK's first aluminium recycling plant. When you recycle aluminium, when we recycle it closer to home, as we've already been hearing, it makes a significant difference. And we're finding in a number of areas, actually, large though Diageo is, what we're needing to do is work in consortiums with other like-minded but non-competing companies. So we're part of 2 consortiums really trying to push the boundaries and explore the future of paper packaging. One of those, we've recently done a test with Bailey's Minis, and then just this last week, Johnnie Walker Black Label in a 90% paper bottle that's on test at Johnnie Walker Princess Street. So we can start to see how that operates in the on-trade. We led the industry in the removal of cartons from secondary packaging, so across Johnnie Walker Red and Black, and the products at that price point eliminated secondary packaging, which then the majority of the industry has taken part in that initiative. But our key focus really is on glass. If you look at our Scope 3 emissions, about 35% of the emissions in Scope 3 is caused by packaging, of which the majority is glass. So a lot of work partnering with our manufacturers as they move towards electric furnaces, a big program to up the percentage of recycled glass. We're at about 45% now, and if only we could all get more cullet back into the system, we'd be higher. There's a couple of our products that are at 70%, and we could raise that even higher with more recycled. But the thing I really wanted to talk about and focus on, by the way, you can find out information about all of that. It's publicly available. We track it on Diageo.com. If you just search for Diageo Spirit of Progress, you can see that and a lot of other programs that are highlighted. But I was just going to talk about Johnnie Walker Blue Label Ultra. You might have seen some press about this launching in the last couple of weeks. So this is the world's lightest 70 centilitre glass bottle. To the best of our knowledge and understanding, we've done a search, an independent expert has searched globally for us and has led us to believe that this is by quite a long way the lightest glass bottle for spirits packaging that's ever been launched. It's about 180 grams. So if you take the case off your iPhone, that's how much it weighs. It's half the weight of our current lightest bottle. It is a luxury product, so we will sell 888 of these from 2025 at a £1,000 price point. And this actually started with us thinking about the future of luxury. And one of the things that we observed was a number of categories and a number of brands were actually moving from, I guess, being a little bit more ostentatious to more understated, from heavyweight to lightweight. We've already seen some fantastic examples from Cartier in that area. And it caused us to kind of challenge ourselves with our most luxurious whiskey, Johnnie Walker Blue Label, and say, okay, what can we do to really push the boundaries? Now, I love working in glass. I'm sure many of you do. It's an amazing material to work with. It's made from readily available materials. There's lots of glass-making sand in the world. It's infinitely recyclable. It's inert, so it has no impact on what you put inside it. The problem, of course, is you heat glass to 1,500 degrees in order to melt it. So that's a very carbon-intensive material. So for every gram of glass you reduce your packaging by, that's over half a gram of carbon that isn't going into the atmosphere. It was quite an extensive test and learn process. We actually started hand-blowing glass. If you've never done it, have a go. It's lots of fun. It does put health and safety into your mind because you're kind of holding something on the end of a hollow pole and blowing into it, knowing that it's about 700 or 800 degrees. It makes you really think about safety when you do it. But what we learned through that, talking to expert glass makers, is the lightest strong shape that you can make is actually a teardrop shape. And then we just slowly adapted that and said, okay, what if we add elements and aspects of the Johnny Walker iconic bottle shape to that? And we could get to the sort of neck, shoulders, some kind of hint of squareness to it. The really important thing was to keep the rounded base, which, as I'm sure you know, it's slightly impractical to then put down. So hence it needed the cradle and the cage around it. So we took that shape, poured as much design value and beauty into it as we possibly could, and then took the light weighting all the way through to the other details. So it's bamboo because it's strong and light and grows incredibly quickly, fully recyclable paper, carton on the outside, the kind of lattice work to the stopper. So we could kind of push that light weighting all the way through. It's not suitable for mass production, so I'm not sitting here telling you something that we're able to convert all of our packaging to. But it is a little bit like the concept car. So when the car companies put all of their effort into making something go incredibly fast or incredibly far on one tank of petrol, whatever the innovation focus is, and then they later work out how to apply that to the full portfolio. So we're already up and running with this. We're applying the learnings that we've generated from this to the whole Diageo portfolio. It's our biggest ever renovation program that we've done to take weight out of the portfolio. And then we sat down and thought, you know what, actually, whilst we're big in spirits, we're not very big in glass. There's an awful lot more water bottles made than spirits bottles, for example. So the patent that we were granted partway through the development process, we've chose to release for anyone who wants to use it. And then we've been conducting seminars in, probably more helpful than just reading the patent, is actually me teaching people and explaining the learning and how to apply this. Because interestingly, you don't have to make radical changes in order to get some really good savings. So we've learned how to keep the iconic shapes in our bottles. Again, we saw the great example from Cartier of keeping your iconic shape but taking weight out. So if you're interested in learning more, let me know. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, and we'll find a way of sharing the patent and the learnings with the design team. Our decision is that progress is only really meaningful when it's shared. So the thought and the challenge is this the future of luxury? Instead of luxury being about heavyweight and excess, actually can we maintain the beauty and desirability of luxury, but it to be about delicacy and lightweight instead of ostentatious and heavyweight?
Well, thank you. The great design and great reduction of materials. Can we find those boats on the shelf here in Monaco, or is it it's all boat? The blue label is also on the shelf already?
Not yet. So this is from 2025 that this will be on sale.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
So you can start buying our product first.
I don't think it's at the petrol station, I think. Well, this was about brand vision and consumer perception. And also there was also some on material innovation. And I think Stefan can tell us much more about material innovation. And he was the president of Qualiform. How can innovations in material help to reduce emission in packaging?
Well, I think that first, in order to reduce emission in packaging, we have to set it as a target. And it should be a key point of our CSR strategy, at least in Qualiform it is a key part of our CSR strategy. There is So because we manufacture bottles for cosmetics, so plastic bottles. So if we compare to glass bottles, so the plastic bottles, we have a better CO2 footprint, a lighter CO2 footprint. However, our strategy is to be at zero net emission in 2050. So 2050, we want to have zero net carbon emission. It's really what our innovation team, our sales team, our marketing team has as a target. In order to reach this zero net emission in 2050, we have a first step in 2030 of minus 35% of emission. So we have a big job to do from now to the next 5 years. And this is aligned with the Stratégie Nationale Bas Carbone in France. So we have clearly aligned our CSR strategy to these national goals in France. Okay, so now if we want to reach this, I think obviously the first step is to measure where our emissions are coming from. So we did this job to calculate our carbon emissions, and yeah, I was surprised by how nice it was for the whole team, for the whole company, to gather onto this great subject that everybody wants to move forward. Everybody wants to move forward in reducing our CO2 emissions, and it was a great. I can testify that it was a great workshop in the whole company. So now let's look at the results. So if you look at a plastic bottle, 45% of the emission of a bottle that we put on the market is due to the material, and 18%, sorry, is due to the end of life of this raw material. So it means that and after the rest is production, varnish in some cases, and the rest is other packaging, transportation. So we really need to focus on this 41 plus 18% of split in order to reduce our emission. It is where we will have the most impact. So this is very interesting because it also helps us to be more confident in the innovations that we propose on the market, because each time we propose an innovation linked to the material, we know that it will have a significant impact on the CO2 footprint. It's amazing. We were also very surprised by the fact that if we add these two numbers, because the end of life is linked to the material itself. There is an end of life for the PET, there is an end of life for the PP, and each raw material has a different impact on the CO2 emission due to this end of life. So if we add these two numbers, 59%, it means that working on this, when we get one pallet, the raw material that we get into our factory, we didn't do anything, but we just purchase this raw material. It's already 59% of our emissions. It's huge. It's huge. So we need to work on this topic, and we need to work on this topic with our customers. So now that we know that, how do we work on it? Well, first, of course, we integrate a lot of PCR material in our product, PP, PCR PP, PCR PE, PCR PET, because we know that when we use the waste of the earth, using a PCR, it's minus 60% of a virgin material. For example, between PCR PET and virgin PET, minus 60%. So this is the best impact we can have on CO2 emission. Also, we use waste from the sea, and what we propose now from this year onward is that we also, we recycle waste from the air, because we are able now to propose on the market some PET with 30% of it made out of CO2. So it's a brand new innovation that we are bringing to the cosmetics. It's a technology that is already existing in some other industry, but we are bringing it from other industry into the cosmetics. In fact, it's CO2 emissions that are captured from some, for example, steel industry. The steel manufacturers, they have a lot of CO2 emission. We capture this CO2, we transform it into ethanol, and then methyl ethanol, monoethylene glycol, which is 30% of the composition of PET. So we are really happy to be able to propose it to our customer, because it reduces by 22% the carbon footprint of the PET. So this is how we, this year, we are bringing this innovation in order to reduce CO2 emissions.
Well, it's a great innovation. How is it with post-consumer recycling material? Is it the availability? Is it regional? Are you globally easy to have access to it? Because I think there are big differences in the world on the post-consumer materials.
We are able to fully secure the supply of our PCR material. Absolutely. PCR material is mainly used for beverage industry, and we are able to we have secured this from this industry, and we are also very happy because we are able to propose a ultra clear recycled PET, which is the clearest on the market, with almost no impact on the aesthetic.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Well, brand vision, consumer perception, material innovation. Well, an important thing is this is supply chain optimization. Yeah. I mean, there's much to gain. Nadine, the question for you then: how streamlining supply chains and logistics significantly reduce CO2 emission?
What is interesting is we arrive after the product. At Infinity Global, we mostly take care of paper and textile packaging. And we have a common point, of course. Oops. In order to track and reduce the CO2 emission, the full chain is involved since the raw material, as you just realized when you... So the raw material, when you choose the raw material, the substrate for the paper packaging, for textile packaging, it's really the first focus in order to limit not only CO2 emission, but the use of the water, the use of everything. After that, there is the production of the packaging, and of course, here you can, we have partners who use solar panel, limit wastage of raw material to re-put on the global supply chain. We work on the decrease of the packaging weight, and I will show you after just an interesting business case where you can see that sometimes it's just doing little things, you can already save a lot. Of course, choosing the production location, and we have been working a lot in order to have several production locations, in order to avoid to transport the packaging from a zone to another. So at Infinity Global, we have partners on the 3 main zones, and of course the logistic. And I would say that let's try with the luxury brand and Maison to avoid air shipment, because it's the worst. So this is a first big impact on the CO2, and also to choose a production location close to the delivery location in order to avoid too much. So I think we are saying the same thing. It's the global and all the people of the company, at least at Infinity Global, like in your company, are involved since the development to the production and to the logistic, and this is really a teamwork to track the CO2 together with other sustainable topics, of course. This is an example where we didn't change nothing to a packaging, secondary packaging. We just use a thinner board. And honestly, it was almost impossible to see the difference for... and this allows us for Maison to save 233 tons of packaging to ship, so shipping packaging with CO2, so saving of CO2. Of course, remove the plastic and the poly bag, and remove also the magnet in the boxes. This will have a double impact. First of all, reduce the weight, and also allow a recycling, a full recycling, because it's a single material. So as we are working with the brand to find solution, we try to propose from the easiest one to the more ambitious one, and this is how we can bring some example.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. Is there any question from the audience that someone ask, and someone here?
Thank you so much to all of you. It's been fascinating and I've really enjoyed it. Just one question for Diego, because I thought for a moment you mentioned, Diageo, sorry, you mentioned paper bottles, and I didn't hear your comment on paper bottles.
Yeah, so we've been working on paper bottles for a while now. We're part of 2 different consortiums on that, so partnering with other companies as well, people like Unilever and PepsiCo. So we've just got into trial with one of those solutions on 2 different brands. So a couple of months ago, Bailey's Minis, we were in trial, as in something actually with consumers. So that was at a festival in Germany. And then just last week, we started a trial of Johnny Walker Black Label in a paper bottle in our brand home in Edinburgh, so in Johnny Walker Princes Street. We're trying to get to 100% paper, but inevitably that's very hard to do. You will, of course, always need some sort of kind of coating or lining. And where we've got to with this solution that's currently on test, it's got a very thin plastic lining. So it's significantly thinner than any paper bottle that's been out there on the market to date. And because of the way that it's produced, you can actually put the paper bottle into the paper recycling chain, and as it gets crushed and then works its way through the system, the 2 separate. So there's no need for the consumer to separate. In theory, packaging that you ask the consumer to separate is a great idea. In reality, unfortunately, very few consumers do, because we're all busy and we get a little bit confused. So having a solution, monomaterial is ideal. If not monomaterial, if it can just go into a normal recycling chain and then get separated. So that's on test right now in Johnny Walker Princes Street. It's early days. We'll learn, but we're quite excited about the potential for that.
And then if I look at the poly bag and a paper bag, how you can reduce the carbon content for both of those. And does it make it lighter if you use poly bag or paper? And what are the options for poly bags?
We try to avoid as much as possible poly bag, not because of the weight, but because of the source of the content and the recyclability of the poly bag. So what we try, we avoid as much as we can poly bags in order to use paper bag, even very thin paper bag, and to have a monomaterial and paper that is able to be recycled after. So honestly, when we speak about sustainability, there is different components. There is the water, there is the CO2, there is the plastic, there is the end of life, which is super important. And end of life for polybag, even if there is a new kind of polybag that are I don't know how to say it in English, but biodegradable. Sorry, biodegradable. Yes, sorry. I think in the industry and in the luxury industry, most of us try to avoid polybag. I don't know if you agree, but.
And my last question is to go back to the Johnny Walker Blue Label, because that's beautiful packaging. But when I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, it's a small number, small quantity, high price, etc. But by the time you've done that, and it can't stand on its own, and you've got the wooden sides, and then you've got the box on the outside. It's an expensive carbon product. So I'm just wondering, is there any way that you could, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's for a luxury market, small quantities I understand, but it's expensive.
Sure. Thank you for the compliment. We're very proud of it and think that it's beautiful as well. When you do, one of the things that Stefan talked about very eloquently was the need to do a full life cycle analysis. I'd encourage you, if you haven't done it for your products or for your business, to do that, because it helps you highlight where the biggest carbon intensity is in production, and for us that's in glass. We have done an internal life cycle analysis on the product, and even with adding those other elements in, it's still significantly lower in terms of its carbon footprint, because you save so much carbon with glass, and we put relatively little back with the bamboo and then with the other elements. So doing that full life cycle analysis and ensuring that you don't rob from Peter to pay Paul, and that you do end up lower carbon is really important. And the insight for us is glass is such a significant impact and part of the carbon footprint that it was worth doing. It's a concept car. We know it's not suitable for mass production. The really important learning for us is it's taught us how to lightweight glass. We're applying that to the portfolio, and we're choosing to share that with the world as well.
Thank you. And to Katia, that was magnificent. I love the fact that you've got the aluminium, and the packaging is so elegant always. And so we'll probably buy that before we buy the Johnny Walker, certainly, hopefully for Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question to Cartier and a question about the magnet and the cardboard. The first one to Cartier is, I'm kind of interested in the statement that a lot of your packaging is recyclable, but I was curious on how you shape consumer behavior to actually fulfill that aspiration, and in fact, when their product is empty, to come back to the store. How do you shape that consumer behavior at every touch point?
Thank you. You're right, it's quite difficult to follow that. I think that the first thing that we aim at doing is that we create beautiful objects, so that we don't want our clients to throw them and keep them. So I think that the first thing that we do, so with our internal creation, design and produce beautiful objects so that the client will keep it. After, it's true that we are not with our clients every day, so we don't know exactly what they do, but it's really why we have taken the decision to have every component recyclable to improve and ensure full recyclability if the client will throw his bottle, which is not our recommendation, of course.
But do you actively shape the consumer behavior by incentivizing them to come back?
But actually it's difficult, and even though in our boutiques, we have our internal sales associates that can, explain the product and explain what we've been doing, explain all the creation behind the materials and so on. So here we can of course try to explain everything and all this to the client. But when we are in a specialist and department stores or I don't know where he can buy, he can just take the product from the shelf, so it's quite difficult.
Okay.
Just to add really quickly, I mean, I think one of the things I think that you've done particularly well is make the refill process just really beautiful. And I think actually perfume industry generally is really leading in this. One of the areas that we talk about as a design team in Diageo is our kind of mantra is the way that we'll make sustainability work is to make it more desirable than the alternative. And I think that sense of beauty and desire and elegance that you've built into the refill system, that experience that it is, that's the way forward, is you just make it simple and really, really desirable. And you've done that very well.
Yes, desirable and simple, you're right.
Yeah, I think also for brand owners that it's really difficult to make big steps in sustainability, because you have to really be careful by taking those steps and also to take decisions in this. And I just recently wrote an article about the decision was made in the US about banning, for example, plastic shopping bags. And what it turned around that by doing this, I thought they did a great step forward. By doing this, by replacing that, they increased the plastic sales and exponential and increased greenhouse gases. And I thought, why? That was because of people that were using those bags for their waste, and they had to go and buy those bags again, and that was using the car, more fossil-based. So. Apparently, it was counterproductive by this decision. So it is, especially when you have a brand and you take that decision, this is a government decision, they can turn it back. But if you have your brand reputation on stage, that's really important that you be careful. And well, in those kind of things, let sign also help you to take the decision in those things. But okay. We have to find out. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you very much for your input. Wonderful to listen to your ideas and your developments. I want to thank you as audience to be here, and I wish you a good afternoon here in Monaco, and hopefully see you soon again. Thank you. Bye-bye.